So babe, I was thinking we should probably go ahead and have the talk with Asher.
Like the sex talk?
Yeah, the sex talk.
He's 3.
Yeah, but he just asked me how babies are made, and I don't know what to tell him. Guys and gals, welcome back to the channel. You are watching Toops Time, and I am Cody.
And I am Jessie. And in today's video, we're going to be talking all about why you, as Christian parents, should be speaking about sex in the home, probably sooner rather than later.
We personally believe that sex should not be the forbidden subject to talk about for so many reasons.
And it will probably come as a shock to some of you at just what age children are learning all about sex and where they're learning it from.
If you do not follow our channel, then make sure to please subscribe and hit that notification bell where you will be notified every single time we drop a new video. Our channel is all about addressing awkward and difficult subjects that the modern church isn't talking about, at least most of them aren't, as well as vlogging our life as a Christian family, living self-employed while raising kids and animals here on our homestead.
Animals, kids, kind of the same thing.
Yeah, monkeys.
With that being said, let's dive into today's topic.
You could say that sex education is not what it once was. Back years ago in the U.S., most public school students were given some form of sex ed around the age of puberty, 13 to 16 years old, and it really didn't include a whole lot of information, if you remember.
No. Now, starting in public schools, it is coming much sooner.
How soon?
Well, some research is suggesting that schools should start addressing sexual health as early as the age of 5 years old. Being completely reliant on public schools to be the primary source of sex education comes with a very serious problem.
The fact is that sex education now has a secular world view attached to it. So for us Christian families, that's a huge problem. So that view is what your kids are going to be taught if they go to public schools.
God's design for sex will not even be mentioned. Honestly though, if you as the parent haven't already explained subjects such as sex, gender, puberty to your child at a very early age, they probably are finding out about it from much worse sources.
Cue pornography.
Yes.
Here are some statistics that prove that pornography is starting to be a primary educator for sex to our children.
Yes, sad but very true. Most research shows that the average age of a child's first exposure to porn is 11 years old.
And actually, I think that's how old I was.
I thought you were like 9.
It was 6th grade. So yeah, I was right at 11 years old as well.
There you go. You fall right in line with the research.
I'm so bad.
Redeemed. Children under the age of 10 actually make up 22% of online porn consumption under the age of 18.
That is crazy. That's
crazy.
a crazy stat. By 7th grade, 10% of children view so much porn that they actually worry that they have some porn addiction by 7th grade. That is awful.
Did you think you had an addiction?
I still to this day don't think I was ever addicted to porn. I never viewed porn on like no nightly basis or anything like that. I mean, it could be because the home that I was in did not allow for something like that. My parents were very strict, so in order for me to see something like that, I had to go through all these hoops because we did not have iPhones back in that day. So maybe I would have fallen into that trap if every single person in my age in that day had access to anything they wanted to have access to like they do now. But I didn't. So I wouldn't say that I was addicted to it, but I did look at it.
Porn is the last place that you're going to want your child to learn about sex and their bodies. Porn is known to objectify women. It's known to degrade sex to being only about pleasure and not about intimacy and connection.
Which is completely against what God designed sex to be in the first place. It also warps your mind as a child to think that sex is consequence-free, never addressing things like STDs or any negative side effects or having sex with multiple partners. You know, we know that sex can be a very awkward and difficult subject to talk about with your children, but to be honest, it really shouldn't be, and that's a lot of the church's fault, in my opinion.
We, the parents, are the ones that feel awkward talking about it because we think of it as a taboo subject. But most children have not yet learned to think about it in any sort of way yet. So the awkwardness comes from us.
Parents tend to believe this myth that just speaking about sex somehow taints a young person, stills their innocence somehow, or makes them want to go out and have sex just because you've talked to them about sex. But honestly, crude humor, sexually explicit images and videos, and our culture's glorification of sex is what has a negative impact on our children's mind.
Sex isn't actually the problem. It's a completely natural thing. God made it to be great and should be presented to a child in that way. The problem in most strict Christian homes is that they avoid the subject altogether,
yes,
or
right.
they talk about it as some sort of dirty thing, a forbidden fruit that we just dare not mention in this home.
However, it's how we all came into the world. Also, Christian parents tend to want to delay having the sex talk with their child. I know some parents have a fear saying too much too soon, but they fear telling their children too much too soon will awaken sexual interest or curiosity too early. But to be honest, this is a very rare circumstance in today's society.
What is actually far more dangerous and far more common is the opposite extreme. Your children not knowing your values as they pertain to sex. Dr. Margaret Stager stated that because of the society we live in, the consequences of avoiding these conversations far outweigh the consequences of giving too much information too soon.
Right. The fear of too much too soon often means we speak too little too late, and you really want to be the moral compass for your child. You are the leader of your family, especially the leader of your children, and you are rooted in Christ, hopefully, if you are a Christian. And that's where your moral standard comes from. And you want to be able to have an open dialogue with your children, even on difficult subjects like this.
Teaching your child God's design for their bodies and for sex is so very important at a young age. Obviously, there are age-appropriate ways to talk to your child about sex. The biggest thing is that you are talking about it, and you really aren't making it a huge deal. You allow them to ask questions, and you answer honestly in an age-appropriate way.
It's when there's a lot of secrecy around the subject that a child becomes curious and tends to take the matter into their own hands to find out about it, which is some of the reason that I ended up getting into it. So how young should you start talking to your children about sex?
Research shows that kids as young as 6 years old come home from school talking about oral sex or anal sex, just learning about it at recess from other kids.
I know that I actually had an experience in 4th grade with this girl who, girlfriend. Do you want me to actually tell them this whole story?
It's a funny story.
Because it is kind of funny. Just to show you how messed up our society is. And this was back 20 years ago, yeah. I was sitting in 4th grade class trying to pay attention because I was a good student, And one of the girls that was trying to be my girlfriend was at the back of the class, and she was trying to get my attention. So anyway, I turned back to look at her, and I don't even want to do this on camera.
I would not want to do this.
I turned back to look at her, and she was doing this. Right? Well, me being a 4th grade student who had not looked at anything prior to this, I was very innocent at this point. I did it back to her on it. Because I thought, with my innocent mind, that she was acting like she was brushing her teeth. And people were laughing in the class. I had no idea what they were laughing at, but that just goes to show you how early some of this knowledge of sex can be exposed to your children in public schools.
Actually, I have kind of a similar story. It was due to my innocence, but I was in 5th grade, so I guess right around 12 years old. 12?
I've been 11, and then you turned 12 in 6th grade.
So around 12 years old, I was on the basketball team, and it was before the game started. We were doing a warm-up, and my best friend at the time was talking about a blowjob. And I had absolutely no idea what she was talking about. And she says,
this is crazy.
She says, well, she didn't want, I said, well, what is a blowjob? Ask your mom. Okay. So I, being very innocent.
Mom's in the stands.
Mom is in the stands. I yell out while I am on the court very proudly, Mom, what's a blowjob? She very quickly responded with a very good answer. A man that blows up balloons for a living. Now get back to playing. Later, she did tell me what it was, and I was mortified that I said anything about it.
And they were still friends after that.
Yeah, we were.
Surprisingly.
Yeah.
The point is, kids are exposed to sexual images everywhere they go, and just on billboards, magazine ads, TV shows, etc. Unfortunately, it's the world that we live in today, and it would be an injustice to our kids for us to remain silent on an issue that the world is blatantly screaming at them.
I mean, just going to the grocery store now, it is common to see same-sex couples, transgenders, cross-dressers. You don't need to shelter your kids. You just need to talk with them. They're going to be exposed to these things.
With that being said, how do we plan on talking to our kids about sex, and at what age?
Well, our children are very young right now. Like we said in the intro, Asher's 3, he's about to be 4, and Callum won't be 2 until the end of November. But we have been preparing ourselves because to us, this is a very important subject, and we're not willing to let the world step in and lead our kids in any way on this matter.
And our kids, especially Asher, because he's the older one, obviously, but they are very smart, and I know that they're going to start asking questions. He's very inquisitive. He sees people walk by, and he asks different questions about people all the time, so it's only a short while before he starts asking questions on this topic.
Yes, one general rule we have is that if they ask, we tell. But
Right.
Depending on the age, you obviously do not want to go into too much detail, and you have to use your judgment.
We also don't want to completely rely on them asking, because what if they were shy to start a conversation on the subject, and next thing you know, they're 16 years old and they never asked us a single thing? Well, we should have already told them by that age. It's really our responsibility to bring it up, and for us to determine the right time to bring it up.
You really have to use discernment on deciding the age to talk to each of your children on the subject matter. Really depends on their own maturity level, what they may be experiencing, what they have curiosity about, a situation.
So each child may be different.
That's exactly right. I mean,
sure.
Every child is different.
Yeah.
We can attest to
Yeah.
that.
But an age that is highly recommended via research is an age range of around 6 to 10 years old to start talking about this topic. So if your child's in public schools, you might even want to have the talk younger, maybe more around the ages from 6 to 7, because they'll probably end up hearing a lot from their peers around that age. And I can definitely attest to that.
However, if you feel your kids are less exposed to hearing about it somewhere else, maybe because like ours, they are being homeschooled, so
Right.
they aren't in a classroom full of kids all day.
It's not likely that they're going to hear about it at church, right?
But
At this type of
possibly.
age, but you never know.
But then maybe 9 or 10 would be a better age. Like we said, it's
Right.
really your judgment call. We actually have bought a couple of curriculums already
Right.
for Christian sex education for homeschool parents. And it's mostly because we talk about this on our channel, and we're just kind of just wanting to prepare ourselves because we know it's coming.
Do you want to show them the book?
Yeah. One of the curriculums we bought actually does start very young, and it's called God's Design for Sex, and it's multiple books. I think it's a 4-book series. I only have 3 of them right here. But this one I actually plan on starting with Asher next year as part of his preschool. And it's the story of me, and it's ages 3 through 5. It's very age appropriate. And one thing I've noticed with these books, because I have actually read through them, you can use your own judgment. I think that you would want, like this one, the ages 8 to 12. I've read through the whole thing, and some of it I feel like it's a little corny. I really do feel like it's best to have a normal conversation with
Right.
your child about sex, not make it super awkward, whereas these are more like, Mommy, is that why I have a belly button? So they kind of just go into like little questions that kids ask.
But how could I breathe inside of mommy or get anything to eat?
Yeah.
Just answering some of the basic biology questions in a very age-appropriate way.
This is a really good one for me to start now with Asher, since we are going to be expecting another baby soon. He has a lot of curiosity on the subject of babies and mommy's milk. And this book will talk more about that in an age-appropriate way. But we'll have links to this curriculum in the description. Like I said, it's God's Design for Sex, and I do recommend it. Another curriculum that we bought and are studying is a 2-book series called The Talk. It's by Luke and Trisha Gilkerson. It's a 2-part series. The first one is 7 lessons to introduce your child to biblical sexuality, and then one's called Changes, and I think that one's all about making sense of puberty.
And mostly what we're doing with these books right now is reading them and trying to prepare ourselves to have discussions with our kids whenever the time comes.
That's right. I will make sure to have links in the descriptions for all of these books, and you should definitely check them out.
We also look for everyday moments to express these biblical views on sexuality with our children. We live on a farm, so they see how baby cows are made and baby sheep are made, and naturally they have questions. The biggest thing is that we truly don't want to make it a taboo subject for our kids. We want them to live a fulfilling life of sexual integrity.
And if that means us getting a little uncomfortable, then we're okay with that.
For real. Yeah, we are the parents. They'll definitely appreciate it in the long run.
Another thing to mention is that we are their number one example of how a godly marriage should look.
Right.
We're on display at all times for our children to see, and they should see us expressing love for one another by kissing, holding hands. You're so silly. This displays to them what is healthy and loving and what they will look forward to having one day as well.
That is it for today's video, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you have heard in this video, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. You'll be notified anytime we drop a new video.
Also, we love hearing from you guys. Please comment with your own thoughts and personal experiences. I'm sure you have some funny stories if you've had to talk.
We do read pretty much every single comment, and I even try to respond to most all of them. Sometimes I don't get to it, but I do try. So go ahead and talk to us via the comment section.
And make sure, if you have not already, signed up for our email list. You can find a link in the description. We're in the process of filming and releasing an online course that will help so many couples with relationships and their future marriages. We even plan on offering one-on-one pre-marriage counseling.
Dun, dun, dun.
Hey, you might even get this guy to marry you.
Hey, I don't know about all that.
If you're on our email list, you will be the first one notified when that course goes live.
God bless you guys. We will see y'all on the next one.
Bye.